Kia ora, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the Audit and Risk Subcommittee, the 27th of February 2024. I can't believe that it is nearly the end of 2 months into the year. So no comments either about the fact that we're all getting older and the years are going faster, because it seems to be doing it with alarming regularity. But good to see you all for our first meeting of this year. The emergency procedures are on the screen. If we could just remind ourselves of those, please. I do know that there was a nasty little earthquake that woke people up in Christchurch last night, so you never know. So thank you for that. And Councillor Briggs, you're very kindly going to lead us through the karakia again today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Everyone, do feel free to join in as well. Mi noi tātou. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hea ki ana te atakura, he tio, he hoka, he hauhu, ti hei, mauri ora.
Thank you, Councillor Briggs. Moving through our first part of our agenda, I have received an apology for the meeting from Councillor Barrett, which I will move. So I'll move the apology from Councillor Barrett be received, be accepted, and leave of absence be granted to her. May I have a seconder, please? Thanks, Councillor Morgan. I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye, against say no. Thank you. Declare the motion carried. Item 3, public comment for our agenda. We have no public comment at the time. Conflict of interest declarations, item number 4. Just ask any member of the committee if there is anything they feel they need to bring to our attention today, either with respect to interests or any matters on today's agenda. Thank you. I will just ask that it be recorded that my interest as a director and deputy chair of the Infrastructure Commission that is currently noted as expiring on the 30th of April of 2024. That appointment has been, reappointment has been approved by the Minister and is going through the Cabinet process at the moment. So I am being reappointed in both capacities on that board until 30 September 2025. Possibility I may take over as the chair later in the year, but if I do, I will certainly advise you all. So if you could just please record that in the minutes, Vanessa. Thank you. Sorry?
Apologies, Chair. One conflict is declaring on page 29 of the agenda is in the sensitive expenditure. My flights and costs for attending the Young Elected Members Local Government New Zealand Conference. I don't think it's a big deal, but just noting that that isn't there for my own personal travel for work reasons.
Thank you. Duly noted. Thanks, Councillor Briggs. Good afternoon, Mr Mayor. And that takes us to item 5 on the agenda, which is the recommendation to Council for the meeting on the 27th of March 2024. That's the draft procurement strategy on page 9 of the agenda. I'd like to ask Nishana to step forward. Nishana is the acting group CFO at the moment. Jenny is away on an IOD course. So welcome. Thank you, Nishana. And good work. I should also make the members of this committee aware that Nishana did send her draft to me a long time before it went on the agenda, whilst it was still a working document. So I have worked a little with her on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. So this is the first group procurement strategy. It's really setting our procurement direction. Our group is a major buyer of goods and services, and therefore procurement plays a really important role in the way we procure goods, manage and source them in order to deliver our priorities affecting both the group's performance and reputation. On paragraph 8, we highlight the key components that make up our strategic operating model for procurement, and it also supports both our operational and capital work program. This strategy was developed by reviewing best practice guidelines, alignment with council groups' priorities, discussions with other similar councils, and reviewing other procurement strategies. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishana. And as I said before Nishana stepped forward, that was one of the reasons why Nishana sought to engage with me on that, is just having obviously written a number of procurement strategies for other local government organisations and also involved in a lot of central government procurement. I can concur with your comments that it does align to those other examples you've mentioned, and also the best practice guidelines as currently stated. There is possibility that all the government procurement rules may be slightly amended during this term of government to try and speed up the process, not reduce the requirement with respect to any of the aspects that need to be stepped through, but just some of the trying to accelerate some of the processes. So I'm sure if and when that does occur, Nishana, you'll be able to reflect those amendments. Thank you. Does any member of the committee have any questions they would like to ask Nishana? No. Thank you. Then I will move the recommendations in front of you, and they are that the subcommittee recommends that Council, 1, notes and receives the draft group procurement strategy, 2, notes this is a newly created group procurement strategy, and 3, approves the group procurement strategy as attached as Appendix 1 to the report. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Stellinger. As I have a mover and a seconder, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against say no. Thank you. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Nishana. It's a great piece of work. Thank you. Moving to item 6 on our agenda, which is on page 22 of the pack. Good afternoon, Bruce. I would like to invite you to speak to your report, and please do feel free if there's anything that has any new information that you've become aware of since the report was written to share that with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, there's a couple of points that I want to raise. The first one is in regards to water reform, and things are moving at pace. So if you refer to paragraph 6, where I talk about the chief executives working together to consider a pathway. So we are intending to bring a report to Council next week, at which a bit of a plan as to how the councils in the region will be working together on a combined water service delivery plan. So that report is being prepared right now and will be considered on Wednesday next week. So there'll be a lot more information in respect of that at that time. The only other matter that I wanted to refer to was in paragraph 11, where there's an error, and instead of 11.5, it should be 11.6 billion. I just wanted to point that out. That was all I had to say at this stage.
Thank you, Bruce. Are there any questions, members of the committee, any questions or points any of you would like to clarify with respect to Bruce's report? No? Councillor Morgan.
Kia ora, Bruce, thank you. In respect to number 6 and the region's chief executives working together, does that mean they're working from a perspective of on behalf of the mayors and coming together with a unanimous thinking about a way forward from all of them?
I think Madam Chief Executive is going to answer that.
Thanks, Councillor Morgan. The Wellington Water Committee, which obviously contains representatives of all the shareholders, identified that actually we need to start to think about what this new model looks like and how, in particular, how we might arrive at a pathway to reach a new model. So both there and at the mayoral forum, the CEs were tasked with coming up with a process to get from here to there, recognising that legislation is likely to come forward in the coming months, and recognising that given that we already have an organisation that does water on our behalf, it's likely that we are able to move faster than some others who might be starting from scratch. So each of us, we had a meeting of regional CEs on Friday. We meet every 4 to 6 weeks, and we identified a pathway, and we all agreed that we would put that paper to our individual councils so that the councils can see what that pathway would look like, and then we will get on and develop, we'll do the work, but obviously all the decisions will need to come back to each relevant council for decision making, and indeed I anticipate the legislation will have significant elements of community consultation.
Thank you, Madam Chief Executive, and thank you, Councillor Morgan, for the question. Just before I move the recommendations, just if I may add a comment from the Chair, and again, you are well aware of my role as the Deputy Chair of the Infrastructure Commission. We are obviously incredibly involved in providing advice to respective ministers, not only the Minister of Infrastructure, but also the Minister of Local Government. There are others as well involved in this. That part of that advice also surrounds making, should we say, it clear that the position of basically trying to, should we say, leave local government with the funding and financing issues that surround some of these challenges is untenable. There are some things that will need to be considered. So we are, excuse me, as you know, an independent body and just providing that straight advice as to these are the things that need to be considered. That advice is constant, and not only just around that, but some of the other issues. And you will have seen very recently that we also published a report on infrastructure about who pays, what's fair. That is also very, very clear around some of these things, around the importance of not only investing in new infrastructure, but maintaining the infrastructure that you have. So I just wanted to advise you all that the pain, if you like, and challenge that you all feel in local government is known by the Commission as one party that can try and represent that for you. So that said, I will now move the recommendations in front of you, and they are that the Subcommittee 1 notes the Government's intentions regarding the future delivery of water services and the regional response currently being discussed and planned, and 2 notes that proposed increased funding within the 2024 to 2034 draft long-term plan will likely be insufficient to manage risks around increasing Three Waters asset failures, resulting in non-compliance with resource consents, and will do little to avert leaks which contribute to summer water shortages. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Briggs. All those in favour say aye, all those against say no. Thank you. I declare the motion carried, and I believe Bruce now needs to get to a water-related meeting. Thank you, Bruce. That then takes us to item 7 in the agenda, which is on page 26, and I'd like to invite Darren, good afternoon Darren, to speak to the report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll take the report as being read, and I don't have anything else to add at this point.
Thank you, Darren. Are there any questions? No? Thank you. I'll then move the recommendations in front of you, and they are that the Subcommittee 1 receives and notes the information, and 2 notes the sensitive expenditure disclosure information attached as Appendix 1 to the report summary of sensitive expenditure 1 October 2023 to 31 December 2023. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Stellinger. As I have a mover and a seconder, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye, against say no. Thank you. Declare the motion carried. Thank you, Darren. That takes us to the start of the information items. Page 32 is our first, item 8A, which is whakatapu nainai, the progress update on page 32. And we have, Andrew is, hello Andrew, there you are online.
Kia
How are you,
ora.
Andrew? Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Please go ahead and speak to your report. If there is any information that you may wish to update us on, please feel free to do so.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko Andrew Quinn, whakawingua, kaiwhakari, whakatopu nainai. And this is the progress report for this project up until the end of January 2024. Again, we continue to make good progress, particularly when the weather is so good. So we're busily closing off the roof over the gym area and the reception area. So that's going well. In terms of other works, we've currently installed already the main pool tank, and we're progressing on with other areas as well. Continue to make good progress on the community centre. Just a few things that have affected our progress. Basically, the extent of the seismic upgrade has definitely hit the program just a wee bit, and completion has now been forecast for mid to end of April. But otherwise, we're progressing well, and the lead tenancy procurement is underway. And Walter Mildenhall Park, we have joined forces with local collective architects, and we're progressing on with our concept design options. Take any questions from the floor.
Thank you, Andrew. I noticed also that, and maybe Madam Chief Executive, you may like to make some comments. You did host the Chief Executive of Crown Infrastructure Partners recently.
We did, and he was Graham was very happy with the progress he'd seen, and both there and also in relation to Tupu Horenuku at Eastern Bay's Shared Pathway, and was particularly pleased around the form of contracting we have undertaken with Apollo, and could see that that was paying significant benefits. So I assured him that actually we need to learn significant lessons from that and adopt that approach far more. It gives us a much better handle on risk in terms of who carries what risk, and being able to nail certainty down. So we're continuing to work together on that to make sure that we can apply that further.
Excellent, thank you. Does any member of the committee have any questions of Andrew? Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Andrew, for the report. I suppose, I know I've got the risk register here, and really good, really great to see the progress. If you were to identify one risk in regards to delivery on time, on budget, what would that be? I suppose, is there anything that is glaringly stands out, I suppose, from now to that July date?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Very good one. At the moment, it's pretty much the weather. We want to finish closing off the roof. We want to get to the dry trades inside. So being ready to start the dry trades before we head into autumn, I think, is pretty much our key opportunity and our key challenge. So really, it's the weather. The weather has affected us dramatically over the summer break, because even though it's been sunny and it's been great weather for people to work in, it has been windy, and wind plays havoc when you've got a crane busily working up on the roof. You will notice the mobile crane is now gone, so we're now using other devices to get material to load up on the roof. But I'd say pretty much it's weather, and then it will just come down to a complexity of the trades inside, which is something we can normally work with. So yeah, right now closing in, getting watertight, and good weather.
Great, and I think, Andrew, you probably covered this. You mentioned at the start that the team are doing as much as they possibly can while we do have, what looks like a decent forecast over the next few weeks, as we start to get to the more unpredictable months later on.
That's right. We're all fingers crossed and hoping we continue to have the good weather that we've had without wind.
Excellent, thank you, Andrew. Are there any further questions? No, thank you. I'll then move the recommendations, and they are that the Subcommittee 1 receives and notes the information, and 2 notes the following progress that has been made on the Whakatapu Nainai project. A, construction of the new Nainai Pool and Fitness Centre is progressing well and remains on track to be complete at the end of July 2024. Confidence is still high that the project can be completed within budget. B, the conversion of the old Nainai Post Office to Community Centre is progressing well, and completion is envisaged early April 2024. And C, following receipt of tenders for the development of Walter Mildenhall Park, Local Landscape Architects Collective has been appointed as our design partner. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Stellinger. So I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye, against say no. Thank you. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Andrew. Great work.
Kia ora.
Thank you. That takes us to item 8B on page 49, which is our Audit and Risk Subcommittee Forward Work Programme for 2024. As you're aware, this is in every meeting pack we have. It is a living document that we review each meeting. It gives us a outline of the reports we should expect on our future agendas, so I don't think there is anything particularly that we need to discuss around that unless anybody has a point they wish to raise. Councillor Stallinger, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Something just came to mind listening to the discussion on the last item, and also with the helpful comments from our Chief Executive, because I was just thinking about the great result on the Nainai project. Such a big and complex project over a fairly long period of time to still be coming in on budget is pretty exceptional, I would say. And the Chief Executive mentioned about looking at lessons learned and whether we can apply them in other forms of contracting. Very pleased to hear that, and because as we know, when we all traversed the reasons for it and accepted them at the time, we've had a number of large variances on other projects. So, getting to the point, I wonder whether it would be worthwhile us having a report on this agenda where we're looking at audit and risk, covering the matters the Chief Executive was going to look at. Post the closure of the Nainai project, lessons learned, and then what we intend to do with our other forms of contracting, and whether we can mirror that or pick up those wins we got from that elsewhere.
Thank you, Councillor Stallinger. It's a good suggestion, and I'll ask the Chief Executive to respond to. Quite common to have what's called a PIR, post-implementation review, where you look at the good things, perhaps things that you could do better, but also things of how you can apply those things to other projects. So, is there any, Madam Chief Executive, would you like to pick that one up?
Happy to do in effect, a post-Whakataupo Nainai wash-up, which would probably be in your cycle 5. And just, more than happy to, you've just recommended to Council a procurement strategy to look at when and where we can design and build together rather than separately, although the long-term plan you currently have doesn't really anticipate any of that. What I can say, just as a separate matter, which I know I talked to Mayor and Chairs about last week, was if you look at cost blowouts, and Madam Chair, you will have experience of this from the Infrastructure Commission. If I look at transport and water, both here, Auckland, and typically across the country, then since 2020, cost increases of around 60% on those contracts are not untypical. So just an assurance to this committee is that we just don't take, as well as market testing and doing things with our contracts, we do look at what the benchmarks are elsewhere to make sure that we are not out of line. But very happy to bring that back in. Probably November's the time when we'll have a pool that's open and well in use. And the other lessons I hope we will be able to identify from then is not just building and contract managing something, but actually the act of bringing that into operation and managing all of the risks around that successfully as well.
Thank you, Madam Chief Executive. Yes, definitely there is a lot of, should we say, lessons learned on not so good things. But also, I think to your point, the success of a project such as this starts with the initial business case and the design, then goes through to procurement, then goes through the contracting, the contract management, etc., and how you manage all of those. So that it's quite a linked process. There's plenty of research and plenty of reports available on the not so good ones. I would suggest also that once you've done that, you may wish to think about how you actually make that, highlight that as something that has gone well. 2 recent reports that the Commission has done on projects that have not gone well that you're probably well aware of. The City Rail Link, there's a part 2 of that's about to come out, and also Transmission Gully. And in both cases, it starts with the business case and the design, the procurement strategy, which, as you rightly say, you've just recommended your procurement strategy to Council, which is another huge step, and then all your contract management. So well done. Thank you.
I think it's just got me thinking. Really
Mr.
good
Mayor?
point from Councillor Stallinger, and appreciate your comments, Joe. Also, just thinking about Eastern Hutt Road, probably one which, there are some learnings of how we can do things differently in the future, because that is one where it was obviously an unpredicted event, very different to a nine-eye pool situation, but one where it's important we take some learnings, and because there is going to be more of that in the future as well. So I mean, I'm not quite sure where that would potentially fit, but one for maybe the team to take away and how that comes back.
No, that's a good suggestion too, Mr. Mayor. And as you say, there are situations where you have to react to an event. So no, I think that's a good suggestion. Perhaps we can leave that with Chief Executive and her team to decide how they do that. Probably yes, cycle 5 would be good as well. Okay, thank you. No further questions. I'll then move the recommendation, and that is that the subcommittee receives and notes the forward program for 2024 attached as Appendix 1 to the memorandum. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Briggs, thank you. So I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against, say no. Thank you. I declare the motion carried. I have not received any questions for this meeting, so I'm going to proceed to item 10 on the agenda, and that is the exclusion of the public. I move that the public be excluded from the following parts of the proceedings of this meeting, namely item number 11 on our agenda, which is the HR and payroll system. May I have a seconder, please? Thanks, Councillor Morgan. As I have a mover and a seconder, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against, say no. Thank you. I declare the motion carried and declare the public part of the meeting closed at 2:27 p.m. Thank you. If we can just